Hello, hello, hello. Dr. Alan Harper again for another live secure vibe coding session. All right, so we're ready to rock it tonight and we've got a lot to do. Just a quick recap of where we're at. We are building this app that we call, let me get my mouse working here. There we go. We are building this app that we call User Vibe OS. All right, let me make sure my chat's working. Okay, and inside of this app, we have many functions, including attract, qualify, anticipate, nurture, ideate, resolve, measure, amplify, and recapture. And all of those are shown over here as to what they actually mean. But we're jumping right into this app and we're going to work on this ideate, which is going to be our MVP, our minimal viable product. And it will have just some basic functionality, but it will have much needed functionality where we can capture feature requests from our users. And ultimately what we're going to do is we're going to build it like a Kanban style, where there'll be a backlog and users can put feature requests in there, and then we as admins can drag those across to the doing, the done, or review and done. All right, so very typical workflow, but we're going to do it really well. And go catch up with the previous videos. You'll see that we've done some competitive analysis. We've seen that there's some flaws with the competitors, and we're going to crush it. We're going to go displace those guys. Hey, if you're listening to me at this point, go ahead and drop a hello into the chat so I know you're out there. All right, so last night, what we did was we went through and we updated our homepage. We've got a nice slick homepage right now. Looks like this. Okay, and we still need to replace this image once we get something worth replacing it with. But we've got really good copy on here describing what we're going to do in terms of gathering user journey intelligence. Right, it came up with all that. Now we need to replace these images once again, once we have something useful to put in there. We've set up basic pricing just for testing. We're just on our local dev server right now. And one of the first things we're going to do tonight is we're going to push this up to GitHub. All right, and this is very important. And we need to do that. And the reason why you want to put your stuff on GitHub is so if something happens to your laptop, you drop it or it gets stolen or whatever, then at least you know your data is in the cloud, right? You can just pick it up on a new laptop and you won't miss a beat. Hey, 3Ds, glad you were able to join me. All right, let's have some fun. So what we're going to do here is go out to GitHub, and what we're going to do is just what I did was I just created a new repository. Okay, and whenever you go to click the new repository button, it looks like this. We just need to give it a repo name. And so what we're going to call it here is User Vibe OS. Okay, of course it's available. This is my own repo. All right, and we want to make this a private repo. All right, at least for now. And maybe in the future we'll open source this, I don't know. But for now, I want to make this a private repo, and this is how you do it. Okay, and you just check the name, and I didn't have one already called that, so it says it's available. We scroll down here to the bottom, we hit create repository. Okay, really simple. Now what it does is it gives you some instructions here. Now this particular repo, you'll recall from the second night, we pulled this code down from my other repo, which is Secure Vibe Coding OS, right? And so now what we have to do is we have to tweak some things. There's something called a remote origin or a remote address, and we need to change the remote origin to this. Otherwise, it's going to try to upload it back into that Secure Vibe Coding OS, and that wouldn't be good. All right, so this is the first command that we're going to issue right here. Okay, so we'll drop into one of the, we'll get us a new terminal running here. And we'll go ahead and drop that in. Uh-oh. Says that one already exists. So let's see here. What are we doing? Okay. Well, here. Yep. You know how we do it here. And when we get errors, we just work our way through it. Get status. Okay. Okay. And what we want to do is get remote list. Okay. Get remote. Okay. I think maybe we just do get remote. Okay, so that's the origin. No. Get remote, get URL. Nope. All right, so let me stop guessing. Let's ask Claude. I was just about to pull up Google, but we got really smart brains here behind us. How do I check the remote origin URL on a repo? Okay. I was missing the word origin. Let's try that. All right. Oh, I got it. Duh. Yeah, it already has an origin. We need to change it. We need to run the set URL. Aha. I've run into this before, but I forgot. All right. So what we want to do is we want to pick up this part right here. All right. Now I'm tracking. Yeah. Get remote set URL and then paste that in. Bingo. Now let's see what it is. Okay, that's what we needed. All right, that's a little tricky. And I wish GitHub did a better job at that. Each time I do it, I end up having to relearn that lesson. But we already had a remote origin, so we had to change it. Okay. And I do this enough that I should already known that. All right. So then what we're going to do is, now that we've done that, then what we do is we will run these two commands right here. And all right. And just for good measure, we'll do a get add dot, and that basically adds everything into the local repo, make sure it's there. Then we'll run these two commands. And there we go. It's pushing to the remote origin. And just like that, bingo, bango. Now I should be able to refresh this page. And our code is up there on GitHub in a private repo, just like that. See, it says private right here. And we just pushed all this code up. Okay. It wasn't there before. So now, you know, this laptop can die, it can get stolen, whatever. I can accidentally delete something and I have a copy on the remote. Okay. We'll talk more about GitHub as we get going. There are some other features you need to know about GitHub, like branches and stuff like that, but not necessary at this time. And if you want to know more of that, hey, you can always drop into my course. I have a secure vibe coding masterclass. You'll find it in that free mentoring link above. Once you go inside of there, you can look in the classroom. Now that class is not free, but you'll find a link to it inside of the free mentoring. All right, you can sign up if you like for my paid mentoring. You get access to that. It's very affordable. All right, so by the way, if you are watching this even afterwards and you like what I'm putting down here, make sure that you like and subscribe and hit that alert button so that you're aware when I go live. Okay, it really helps the channel out and it helps the algorithm so that it knows that you guys love me and it sends me more love. All right, got to get that YouTube algorithm love. All right, so look, we've accomplished something big here. We've got our GitHub repo set up. So let's go ahead and take credit for that. I didn't have it on here, but let's get it on here. Okay, this list is growing, but we're also knocking stuff down. Okay, so now what we're going to do is, remember last time we had the add API key request functionality, and that's working like a champ. You come back here in our dashboard, and what we can see is if someone has signed up for our paid account, it's in a protected page. It's called API keys, and we saw this working last night. We added a key. We can revoke this key if we want. We can add another one in just to make sure all that functionality works. Okay, so it revoked that key. All right, it's no longer any good, and we should be able to then delete it permanently if we want. Sweet. Sometimes you want to just revoke a key, but you still want to know what the hash of it was, or the initial and the ending string of it, in case we need to go find it elsewhere and remove it out of places. All right, so it's kind of a nice functionality that it revokes it. That's one step, and then it deletes it. By the way, I didn't ask it to do that. AI was smart enough to know that that's best practice. Again, we're vibe coding here, folks. So again, not throwing shade on those guys that hate vibe coding, but maybe I should, because what they would have you do is spend like weeks like talking to AI and building up this spec sheet, and you probably would have missed that step. Okay, and then you would have got less functionality. So I'm telling you guys, AI is pretty creative, and it's just getting better every day. So why would you put it in a box, right? I'm a big fan of just letting AI do its thing. Hey, it looks like we got more people joined. Hey, welcome. Go ahead and drop me a hello here in the chat so that I know you're out there and that you're not sleeping. All right. And what we're going to do is just hang out here, right? You guys ask any questions you have there. I'll try to look up here occasionally and keep track of that and answer anything I can for you, okay? I want you guys to get a lot out of this. This is why I'm doing it. I'm not doing it for myself. I've already built apps and sold them, and I will do more, but I wanted to give back, and I wanted to share this process with you so that you can go through it if you like. Again, if you need more, and you need more of my training, I actually have a course around this. Again, hit me up in that free mentoring, and then you can find the paid course in there. All right. So again, we've got the API key working. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to build a prototype of the web components for Kanban board. All right. It's about to get real, folks. All right. So what we're going to do is go back to our trusty Claude Code. And what I like to do now is we're going to do some planning. So I'm going to drop into plan mode. I'm going to hit Shift Tab twice, and that puts it into plan mode. You see that down here. Okay. Now the reason why we want to do that is we want this thing to think, and we want to develop a plan. We don't want to write any code right now until we're satisfied with the plan. All right. Hey, appreciate that, 3Ds. Hey, Rotalara, good to see you. Hello. All right. So here's what we do. We have this thing in plan mode, right? So we're going to just talk to it. We're going to say, we are building a feature request capability, and I want our users to be able to install a widget in their website that has a Kanban style request, feature request functionality, feature request functionality. I want the user to have the ability to have multiple, or no, let me back that up. I want to have multiple Kanbans, one for request feature, one for bug reports, and I don't know why I'm stumbling over that word, and one for internal roadmap of our product. I want the Kanban board to be fully functional with drag and drop for ordering, but I want the users to only be able to add feature request to the backlog and not be able to drag those to another board or panel. I want admins like myself to be able to drag the features across the other panels as I am working, reviewing, and done. This is an important point. The users will have an API key from the API page, which is already working. And they will need to use that key to add feature request functionality to their site. Again, their users can then add feature request to their individual 3 Kanban as stated above, but only they as admins can move those requests. All right, so this may be a bit confusing to other panels. Let me explain. All right, so we're going to eat our own dog food, which means that it's kind of, I did this on purpose. Our first feature is going to be a feature request capability, but we want in our app to have feature requests as well. And so no matter if we use it or our users use it, what I want to happen is the admin will be able to move those items across the Kanban board, but their users, their anonymous users or their signed in users in our webpage who are not admins, they will not be able to move those across. All right. They'll just be able to add those and reorder them. And they should only be able to, the end users should only be able to see or to edit and delete their own, this is very important, features request or items on the other board, or issues on the bug reports board. And they should be able to vote on the other issues besides theirs. However, the admin can delete and move items as they want. Okay. All right, I think that's enough. Now, for the architecture, I want to distribute the widget in iframe, web component, and both by npm install or script from CDN. Help me plan this out. Okay. That's a lot, I know. But the more you give it, the better. And I find that, like I've talked to these LLMs and I can surely talk faster, but my mouth gets out ahead of my brain. So I find when I type it, I can actually think deeper and I can like back up and like delete a word if it wasn't what I meant. It's hard to do whenever you're speaking. You have to say, back up, delete, it's awkward. But some people, like it that way, and maybe I'll try that a little bit later, as we get into more of these sessions and see if I can do that better than I did before. But for now, this thing's cooking. What it's going to do is it's going to come up with a healthy plan for us. All right, and then we're going to read that plan. What I like to do then is I like to iterate on that plan a couple times, and then what we'll do is we'll tell the AI to save that plan in a markdown file for us, and we'll put it in the docs folder for future reference. Right. And it'll always be there, and it'll always be in the memory somewhat of the LLM because it'll know what the plan was. All right. It's very super helpful. Now, again, you can just YOLO mode it and get out there and just start slinging the vibe code. But, like the LLM is going to certainly forget what it did, tomorrow because you're going to clear the context and you're going to forget. And that's going to be a problem. So what we want to do is we do want to document our code as we go. The LLM is really good at putting documents inside or, comments inside the code, but we want to actually put markdown files. Okay, that's the best practice. All right, we got a comment here. All right, it's asking us, do we want to proceed? And we say yes. Don't ask me again for the cat command. That's a harmless command. I do like that it asks you the first time you open a session, every time it does something new. I really like that. That's there is a mode called use dangerously, and I don't... or dangerous mode or something like that. I don't recommend that you use it. I've never used it because then it could literally delete files on your system that you're not even thinking about. I've never really heard of Claude Code doing that, but like, why risk it? That's a little too much freedom. I want to keep an eye on it, and I also want to learn. Right? Don't give up the opportunity to learn. With this AI. Let it teach you as you're going. Don't yield that opportunity. Okay, where are we at? Okay, it's cooking. You guys got any questions? Okay. Okay, still cooking. Take a break. This is one thing that I look forward to it getting better in the future. Like LLMs take a bit. Like, right? So you type something, especially something complex like we just put in, it might take a couple minutes. Then, go take a walk, stretch your legs, come back. But it's really good to keep a flow going. And I do regret that sometimes it makes you sit and wait. Now, there are faster algorithms. Like I've heard the Gemini and some of these other ones, like they just return it like immediately. But there's a downside to that. Like there's a trade-off. Sometimes you're like, whoa. Just slow down, think about it a bit right before you give me the answer. Because with some of these faster ones, like you just end up going in circles and you just wish it were a little slower after all. So, all things considered, I guess I'll wait. All right, so now I also like this about Claude Code is it's come back and it wants some clarifying questions. This is called elicitation. So basically it's eliciting from me further information, which makes it smarter so that it can help us better, right? Move this a little bit. All right. So on all three boards, Feature request, bug reports, and roadmap. Okay, what is the MVP priority for the first release? Should we build all 3 boards initially or start focused? Yeah, that's a good question, honestly. You know what I do? I'll tell it just to do the first one because we can always add the other ones in. Okay, so I'm gonna change my mind here. Okay, I'm gonna say feature request only first. Start with just the feature request, add bug reports and roadmap later. Faster to market. Yeah, I like that. Okay. Distribution. Which widget distribution format should we prioritize first? We can build the others after the MVP. Okay, I like okay. I'm gonna tell it to do all 3 on this. How should anonymous submissions and voting work in the public widget? Email required for everything. Yes, we want users to at least put their email address in. This is really important. Oh, it looks like I'm not sharing anymore. Hold on a second. I don't know what happened there. Okay, let's see, hide that. Okay, hold on a second. Let's see what's going on with this music. All right. Okay, let me stop the sharing. Start it again. There we go. I don't know what happened there. Okay, that's not the format we want. Ah. There we go. All right. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, let me hide that. There we go. All right. So what it's doing here, let me just back up 1 second. It asked me 3 questions. The first one was, hey, do you want all 3 boards at once? And I said, nah, you're right. It's smarter just to do the first one, the feature request. So let's just do that. Okay, on the distribution, do you want to do all 3 of these first? And I said yes, because when I'm testing it, I don't know which one I want ultimately. I want to see all 3 of them. Okay, and then on the anonymous mode, now this is really important. When our users come to put a feature request in, do we want them to be purely anonymous or do we want them to put an email address in? And I say yes, we want them to put an email address in. Okay, it's very important because we don't want random people like dropping us comments, right? We'll be chasing our tail. We want to know that they're customers or potential customers. And guess what? When we get their email address, we're going to start putting them on our mailing list. We're going to start, if they're not an existing customer, we're going to try to make them a customer, right? We're going to try to market to them. Okay, so definitely email is required for everything. So let me hit that. Okay, now it's asking this question. What level of customization should projects have for widget appearance? Okay, I like this. I want full branding. I want colors, logos, and fonts. Now, the reason why it's important because I happen to know a couple of those competitor tools don't have that because I've used them. And you just get what you got. And you can't change the colors, you can't change the fonts, nothing. Can't put your logo on it. In fact, they have the nerve to even try to charge you more if you want to put your logo on it. Okay, we're not going to do that, at least not initially. We're going to, because we're trying to beat them, right? So we're not going to do those stupid things. All right, so full branding. All right, so then we go ahead and submit that, and now it's going to cook some more. Love Claude Code. so much better than the other ones that I've used, and it gets it right most of the time. And I tell you what, you can hand it some pretty gnarly stuff. Like I've never seen it like not be able to figure out a bug quickly. Like, yeah, it might take 15, 20 minutes of going back and forth, but like it will get to the bottom of it. Where I've seen some other ones, they just put you like in what's called a death loop. And you're just sitting there typing and going back and forth. You aren't getting anywhere. All right, so here's the timeline estimate. Yeah, right. It's saying it's going to take 5 days. Yeah, it's going to take about 5 minutes. But yeah, I don't know why it does that. I've seen it do that before. It estimates like days. Like, yeah, nah. We're going to get this done. We're going to have a little something working here tonight. I have a good feeling. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to, let's see what the rest of the stuff they came up with. This is a good opportunity to read it. Okay, let me go ahead and expand this. Okay. All right, here we go. Here's the feature request implementation plan. MVP, feature request board only. Okay, distribution, all 3 formats. Authorization, branding. Okay, good. Authentication is what that meant. All right, database schema. It's going to go to Convex. It's going to add some new tables and fields into Convex, and it's going to do all of that automatically for us. So glad we're not messing with the remote database. It's all built in. Okay. Implementation phases. Let me clarify that. It is remote, but the access to it is all local. It's all in the code. Okay. So we don't have to make like these remote API calls. It's all it's gonna handle all of that for us seamlessly. Okay. Implementation phases. Back end. Okay. These are called routes. These are convex files. Okay. Validation schemas with cross-site scripting protection. I promise you that if you just did this straight out of the box with Claude Code even, it wouldn't have done this. It knows to do this because we're working on the secure vibe coding OS. Again, if you're new to that, back up and see the previous videos. We're working on a secure baseline because we're all about security here when we do this, right? What good does it do for us to build this app and then get it hacked, right? We'll be out of business as soon as we got into business. All right, so that's not going to be us, right? You can do secure vibe coding, and that's what I teach here, and also in my mentoring programs. All right. Add validation. Okay, implement permission checks. Okay, good. Admin dashboard. List all the widget projects. I'm trying to read this carefully because, like, if it's doing something wrong, here's where we want to catch it. Okay. Okay. Branding, settings page. Okay. All right. I can deal with that. Okay. Here's the widget core component. Real-time subscription to request, voting interface. Okay. All right. Email validation to make sure it's actually an email address and not just stupid stuff. Okay. Comment threads. Oh, okay. See, I didn't even ask for that. But sure, why not? Why not put some comments on these? That'll help us be better than the other guys. Okay. Submission form with email requirement. Yes. Theme engine. Yeah, I love that. Okay. Distribution. Okay. Web components. The reason why you want to do web components is because it's a wrapper that fully isolates your component, so that when a user tries to install this component here someday, it's not like the local style, the CSS files on their web app won't interfere with ours. It's like their colors won't mess with our colors and vice versa. Okay. Now, the iframe is actually the best way to do that. It's the most isolated, but not a lot of people like to use iframes. It's a little slower. In some environments, depending on where they drop it, it may not be allowed because it's going to make a connection back to us all the time. Web components is a little, it's also isolated, but there are situations where there can be conflicts. Okay, so we're gonna get the best of both worlds here. Okay, embed code generator in the dashboard. All right, polish. Okay, it's going to be a mobile responsive design. This means that if they're on a web page or on their mobile device, it's still going to look decent, right? It's going to compress everything down. We'll talk more about that when we start looking at the interface. Like, you want a mobile responsive design, and the fact that we're using Next.js, you get that pretty much included. If you have to try hard for it not to work. Okay, accessibility. Okay, not too concerned with that right now. This has to do with, like, this is cool. Don't get me wrong, but like, it's not a priority of ours. Like, this is like handicap accessible for our page. Okay, rate limiting. All right, we're going to prevent spam. Security audit. Man, love it, love it, love it. Key technical decisions. Okay, I like all this, but I see one thing missing. I like the plan. Add that to a doc in the docs folder, but add also that we will have a demo view of the configured widget on the dashboard for the user to see and test out. Also, we will want to give instructions on the embed page so they know how to install it. Okay. Right here, he says he's happy. It says that it's happy to create that document. Still in the plan mode. Yeah, I know that. What would you like for me to do? I want you to go ahead and do this. Add that to your knowledge base. All right. Now what it's trying to do is it's trying to break out of the plan mode that I've got it in. That's kind of like the training wheels I've got it on. And I've learned over the year to kind of keep it in plan mode a little bit for complex things. And then once you're satisfied with it, tell it to document it and then tell it to execute. And you'll get a much better result. And by the way, I tell it to execute and check off the items in the documentation. That's a pro tip, right? You get that just for joining me tonight. Okay, it asks if you want to proceed. Almost. Proceed, but check off the items in the doc when you execute. Okay. Let's see if we got any new comments out here, guys. Yep. Okay. Time based on old dev styles. It is time based on old dev styles when teams would be developing using regular coding. Yep. Days now become minutes, hours with vibe coding. Yep. You're absolutely right. But it knows I'm vibe coding. Why does it say it's going to take 5 days? S3D's comment there. He's right. Could you share the GitHub link for the secure setup you use for day 2? Yep, definitely. That's good. While it's cooking, let me go ahead and bump this along because it's asking something here. Would you like to proceed? Yes. Okay, let me get you that Claude Code. Let me see. I'm trying to think the easiest way. Okay, I'll do it up here. Okay. There we go. Okay. There's the link for those of you who can't see my chat. Only the YouTubers can see me chat back. Everybody else can't see. Esther, I see that you said I lost the screen. You lost the screen. I think I reset that back when you said it. Just confirm that you can see it now. Okay. Are you good to go on that link, 3Ds? Okay, back to our code here. It's still cooking. I like to listen to lo-fi music when I'm coding or when anytime I'm doing any serious work. It's very stimulating to the brain. It keeps you alert. And you don't want anything with words in it because the words take from your brain cycles and you have to process those words and understand them. But for like beats and just rhythms, it's really good. Another thing is good is classical music, but yeah, I'm not much into that. Jazz isn't bad, but lo-fi just seems to hit that mark for me, at least. If you don't like lo-fi, I apologize. I did turn it down a couple days ago so that hopefully it's just right. All right, this thing's still cooking. Can't wait to see what it comes up with. This is vibe coding, folks. Do you know how many it would have? I was going to say, you know how many days it would have taken us to do this? I do. Let's see here. Okay. It would have taken 3 to 4 weeks to get our MVP. I believe that. Probably a little longer. You'd have to be pretty experienced to get it done then. Look here. 4 to 5 days just to do the back end. Ridiculous. 5 to 6 days to do the dashboard. It's going to do it like in 5 minutes here. Amazing. Exciting times we live in, folks. Exciting times. Yep, I see that, Rotalara. Thank you. Okay, here we go. What did it do? Perfect. I've created a comprehensive implementation plan document, okay, with the checkboxes for tracking everything. Here's what's included. It's everything that we've went over. I'm not going to read it again. Okay, but now I want to say, okay, as we implement each one, okay, now execute. Yes, execute the entire plan. I could have told it just to do phase one and then we could have went and inspected it, but what fun would that be? Okay, it updated the schema. That's the database. All 6 new tables are in there. It's working on the user authentication. Okay, we love that. Nice security features. While it's doing that, maybe what I'll do is talk a little bit about the security issues that could happen with your Vibe coded app, right? Let me add some value there. So there are many things that you're concerned about with your Vibe code app. First and foremost, you're concerned about authentication. You want to make sure that you know who's logging into your site, and you want to make sure that they use strong authentication. Now, what I prefer to do is push that off to Google and GitHub and these others and just let them store the password and make sure it's a secure password and all that. That's what I prefer to do because they do a much better job at that than I could. Okay, but if you're going to store passwords, make sure you put password complexity rules in there. It should be like at least 13 characters up or lower, one special character, all that stuff. And the reason for that is because it makes it very difficult for an attacker to brute force that and guess that password, right? Now, once we've authenticated our users, and the best authentication we can do is two-factor authentication, right? And that's what you should do on all sensitive apps like banks, banking apps and stuff like that. We probably won't do it for this app. It's probably a bit overkill, but we could. And we could do it easily, by the way, inside of Clerk. And maybe we'll do that because it's a feature and it'll help us outpace the competitors. Yeah, I think I changed my mind on that. Yeah, we will do that. Remind me if we get to that and I forget. All right. And matter of fact, I won't forget because I'm going to put it on my to-do board. Okay. So that's the best that you can do is multi-factor authentication. It's pretty much hacker proof. That's really not true. I mean, I've seen some attacks out there. They actually can get you on that, but it's much more difficult for them, right? So once you've identified who your users are, then you want to authorize those users to go to certain portions of your website and block everyone else by default. Okay. Very important that you block everyone else by default. That should be your system should block by default and only authorized personnel or people or users. Okay, so that's the second leg of our stool here. So we're going to identify and we're going to authorize. All right. Then what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that we do user validation, input validation on every piece of input that comes from the user. And I mean every piece of input, like even their cookies, anything, any form that you give them where they can put a username and password. You want to check that, you want to sanitize that, and you don't want to trust it. If you just take that value and jam it in your database, later on it could bite you. Okay, not with the databases we're using, but if you pull that out and use it somewhere else in the app, it could hurt you. Okay, so you want to sanitize everything coming into your database, and we've set up infrastructure that'll just happen for us using this tool called Zod, Z-O-D. Okay, so again, that's one of the skills that we gave it with Claude Code is we taught it how to do input validation. Very, very important. Another thing that we want to do is we want to rate limit all of our endpoints, our API endpoints. So we have the front end website and we have the back end of our servers, and they run over APIs, application programming interfaces. We want to make sure we rate limit those so that somebody can't find one of those and then bang on it and like put us out of business, because what they could do is what's called a denial of service attack. Okay, so you want to rate limit that. Now, usually you want a good rule of thumb is about 60 requests per minute, so that's 1 per second. If they're doing more than that, then you need to slow them down or block them. A very sophisticated technique is where you like do what's called a ramp up, and you actually like if they do that, you put them like in a little timeout to where now they can only do 30 per minute. And if they keep doing it, you bring it down to 10, right? And you just keep ramping it up, like the difficulty, because what you're trying to do is make that attacker just go somewhere else, right? Because attackers, they got limited time too. They're not going to sit here for months trying to brute force into your site. Okay, you're not worth it. They would put like you're not a government agency or something, so you're not worth it. All right. So we want to, another thing we want to do is we want to authenticate even on our endpoints. We want to make sure we know that our users are the only ones that are talking to our endpoints. Okay. Particularly if we have web sockets that are like webhooks that are open to the world, we want to make sure we put a key in there and we give whoever's going to use that webhook that key, and they need to protect it. It's like one of these API keys that we're doing here. And they need to issue that key anytime they want to talk back to us. And that's what the purpose of our API key is that we've set up in our app already. Okay. All right. So what are some other things? Other things that you want to do for security is you want to make sure that anything that you install in your app is up to date. Okay. You want to make sure that you're not like just because AI would just go out and pull libraries down. Right. But we put things in here that says, hey, if you're going to like install something, make sure it's the latest and make sure it's recently maintained. It's one of the skills we gave it in Claude Code skills. It's part of the security batteries included in that secure vibe coding OS I gave you guys. All right, I dropped that link in a bit ago. I'll just flash it again for those who watch this later. Okay, and you can find that on GitHub too. It's on my repo. Just go to GitHub and search for Secure Vibe Coding OS. And just, you can fork it, you can modify it, but you can also just use it. And there's good instructions on that page on how to install it. If you need more details, 2 things for you. Okay, another bonus for you tuning in tonight. I want to share something with you. Up here in the Secure Vibe Coding OS files, which we're using, in the docs, I have given you 2 modules from the course for free. One of the modules is how to install and get running this Secure Vibe Coding OS. So take a look at that. The other one's the security architecture. So you get 2 out of, there are 10 modules in the course, but each one of the modules have like 4 or 5 sub-modules. So these are like 2 of the sub-modules out of maybe 40 or 50 total modules in the course. That's called the Secure Vibe Coding Masterclass. It's available within my free mentoring group. If you'll find it, it's not free. You find it up in the classroom. You have to click, and then you'll see the pricing and so forth. All right. So you can get to all of that with this QR code that's up here on my screen. Also, the link down in the description. Please follow me and subscribe, and hit that notification bell on YouTube if that's where you're doing it, so that you're aware of the new things that I'm putting out. Okay, it's still cooking. All right, some more things we want to do with security. All right, we've already done a lot. Like if you do that stuff, you're in the top 5% as far as security of apps. All right, now here's what we do to take it to the next level: is we test and we test and we test the security. And I'm going to teach you how to do that. We have built into this Secure Vibe Coding OS, we have some security agents, some testing agents. And they would do the testing for you if you just know how to ask them politely, right? And so I'll show you that. You can let AI test itself. If you feel even better about it, you can run another algorithm on it. Like you can run like I use Claude Code. Maybe you use OpenAI and tell it to ChatGPT to come look at this code. But honestly, Claude Code does a really good job at it. Then what we do is we use a static code scanner called a SemGrep. Okay, SEMGREP, SemGrep. It's free, and it allows us to scan all the source code. It's going to look for old vulnerabilities, old code that we might have pulled down. Excuse me. Or it's going to look for these things that we've been talking about, like that you're not checking for input validation, or you're not rate limiting, and things like that. Okay, it's going to do all of that for us. Another thing that you want to make sure that you never, ever, ever do is publish your secrets. You know how we pushed our code up to GitHub? All right. Looks like we got a question here. Hold on a second. Okay, I'll come to that in a second. Okay. All right. A lot of it's working, but all right, we'll come back to it. We pushed that code up to GitHub, right? Well, we want to make sure we never push our environmental variables up there, because first of all, GitHub will notice that, and they'll block your account. Like they'll protect you so that nobody can steal them. Even if it's in a private repo, you don't want to do that, because what if someday you make it public and you forgot that, like last year, you had keys sitting in there? Oh my goodness. There are people out there scanning GitHub, and every time they see a repo go live, they scan it for API keys, and within seconds, they would take those keys and log into your app and steal all your data with like a script, right? And they have AI bots doing that stuff. So it's a dangerous place out there for API keys. Okay, so whatever you do, never publish your API keys. So one of the things you can do is you can put a GitHub workflow in place that scans your code every time you push it up, and it looks for that. Okay, the best practice is to just never or add those files to what's called git ignore, and right here inside of git ignore, which is this file. That's not where I want to show you. This one down here in the root of the project. There's this in here in the git ignore file. It says .env, and that means all the environmental files, ignore them. So never, ever, ever push those to Git, and that will save your bacon right there. All right. Now let's get back to paying attention here. All right, completed so far. Phase 1. 6 new database tables. Yep. Okay, admin dashboard, partial, complete. I wanted to go ahead and finish that so I can check it out. Okay, tasks 3 through 5 not started yet. Okay, this is the 3 to 4 week projection. It's completed 30 of them already. Yeah, right. Okay, it already did 4 days worth of work in 15 minutes. Let's tell it to go ahead and do finish 2 at least so we can take a look at the back end dashboard, and we'll come back and do the rest tomorrow. Complete. Phase 2. I want to see this Kanban board. We're going to keep going until we see something. How about that? If I have to stay a little later, we will. You guys with me? All right, guys, we having fun? Man, right out the gate today, we had an issue with GitHub. We had to plow through that and figure it out. And I'm telling you, I've learned that lesson with GitHub probably 100 times because I have like lots of repos. And every time that tricks me, and I sit there and I get stumped, and then you have to change the URL. I wish they'd just add that instruction. It sure would save time. After that, it's been pretty smooth sailing. We made it document our plan. We'll be glad that we did that. Trust me, because now we have it. Let's look at that comprehensive plan. It should be checking stuff off as it's going. Okay, so up here under the feature request widget. Okay, here's the plan. Right click on that and hit open preview, and let's bring this down a little bit. Okay, and let's see what we got. Building a comprehensive feature request widget, MVP, blah, blah, blah. Okay, what we're building, what we're not building. Okay, we're not doing the bug reports and stuff, but it will do that later yet. Okay, current architectural analysis, existing stack. Okay, good. Okay. Yep, it knows about authentication billing. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I'm loving this security stuff here. Okay. Current schema. This is the database setup. It's always good to document what your database is doing. You don't have to understand all this. If you want to understand it, tell it to explain it to you. Tell it, hey, within the feature request widget file that you created, I see the database schema design. Explain that to me like I'm 5. Okay, it will do that. Okay, we're not going to go through this whole doc. I'm just wasting time waiting for this thing to finish cooking. Looks like it's getting close because it's already checking off. Look here, it's checking off all these items. It's just got a few more to do. Oh, it's calling those in the future. No, I don't want those in the future. But this is in the doc, so we can always, adjust that doc tomorrow and tell it to keep going or whatever. All right, so it should be just about finishing up here. We should have something to see. I'm so impatient. I might just go look. All right, so let's look here. Just scrolling back up. You want to read this stuff, or at least skim through it and make sure you understand what your app is doing. Okay. All right, it's telling me, yeah, it's telling me all this stuff that it did. I can't wait to see it. Okay. Okay, here's the summary. It's complete. Phase 2 is complete at least. See, tomorrow we can just come back and say continue with the implementation plan with phase 3. Okay. Okay. What was built? Okay. Projects list page. All right, we'll take a look at that here in a second. Okay. Projects details, Kanban board tab. Okay, can't wait to see that. Drag and drop capabilities, demo preview tab. Okay, cool. It's got that working. At least it thinks it does. Embed instructions tab. Okay, yep, we need that. We asked it to add that to the plan, remember? Okay, settings tab. Sweet. Here's where they can put like their colors and everything. Sweet. Analytics tab. All right, now we're cooking. See, I didn't even ask it to do this. It's given a status breakdown. What's voted on, like top 10. Man, love Claude Code. Real-time features. Okay, live updates, optimistic updates, drag and drop feels instant. Okay, security validation, input validation. That's what I want. Project names. It's only 100 characters for a project name, and it does cross-site scripting sanitization. Beautiful. Security batteries included. Okay, what's next? Phase 3. All right, we'll do that tomorrow. Okay, let's go take a look at it. Okay, we'll refresh. Okay, I tell you, I'm not seeing those new files. Let's see here. Where'd it put it? Probably down here. Nope. These just come with the Secure Vibe Coding OS. Let me tell it I'm not seeing those files on the menu on the sidebar. They probably forgot to do that. I am not seeing those new pages on the sidebar in dashboard. Don't you love how it says you're absolutely right? Well, if I'm absolutely right, why didn't you just do it? Because it's AI. Sometimes it gets distracted, it hallucinates, sometimes it forgets things. It's kind of like an apprentice, right? But, you know, pretty smart one. It's getting smarter every day. And probably within a year, it'll be better than every programmer on the planet. It's already better than like 98% of us, right? But it's going to be 100% here soon. And then what, right? Now, I believe it's still going to do security issues because that's what it was trained on. Now, that will get better over time. I think they'll stamp all that out when there's better code out there that it's creating, maybe. Then maybe we're going to create a lot of code examples for it, so maybe it'll get trained better. We'll see. No promises on that. Like, you know, I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know how long it's going to take for it to quit doing security issues or vulnerabilities. All right. It says it's done. Okay, hold on a second. And like that. Okay. All right, here we go. Projects. Okay. I still expect to see more stuff over here. All right, create your first project. Create a project. It's not working. You need an API key first. Duh. Hey, isn't that cool? It's grayed out until I get an API key. I didn't tell it to do that. Okay, done. Now, that's right. Give me my project. My first project. Selects an API key. Sweet. Creates the project. Okay. Now what? Whew. Look at this. This is a Kanban board. It's got probably one or two more than I would want it to have in terms of panels. That's okay. All right. So here's where it put all this stuff. It put it in here, which is, I can deal with this for now. We can iterate. Okay. So we've got a backlog. Okay. And then we've got a demo. Okay. That's not working. So we're going to need to troubleshoot that next time. Okay. Here's the embed instructions. Maybe we can tell it to work on the demo tonight, but I'm running out of gas. All right. So we'll work on that tomorrow. So we've got the embed instructions. So like this is how someone would install our little widget on their web page. Okay, it's very descriptive. Tells them exactly what to do. We can even improve on that. Okay, and then here's how, if that's for an iframe. If they want a web component, this is how they do it. If they want an NPM package, this is how they do it. Okay, these are the three common ways that that widgets are delivered. By the way, a lot of these competitors of ours, they only do one. All right, so we're coming out swinging because we're coming for their jobs, right? AI is here and we're slinging it. Okay, here's the settings. Look at this. They can change their name. They can change the colors. Sweet. They can put their logo on here, I'm pretty sure. Oh, and they can delete the project. And it's in this danger zone down here. I like that. So that way they can't just accidentally. If we click this, it's probably going to say, are you sure? Yep. There we go. Are you sure? And we got a little error here. So we'll have to fix that tomorrow. Cancel that. Analytics. Oh, duh. Okay. We got some stuff to work on tomorrow. But hey, we got a start, folks. Didn't take us 3 weeks either. All right. Let me go back to where we at. I like how it put all the projects in here because then it can have multiple projects. Maybe this developer has multiple websites. By the way, if we wanted to, we could charge them for all those, but we probably won't because that's what those competitors would do. They're very expensive, right? We're just gonna crush them because we can. It's gonna be fun, and you guys will see it live. All right, I really like it, man. We got something to work with here. All right. So we'll come back tomorrow. We'll cook on this and some of these other things. Okay. It'll figure all that out. Trust me. Okay, guys, that's all we have. Hey, it's been a great session. Love hanging out with you guys. I will see you tomorrow night at the same time. That's 8 p.m. New York time. Until then, be blessed by the best. Take care of yourselves.